Hello guys, welcome to the next video tutorial on Java programming for beginners. And in this video, we will see how to use for loops in Java. In the last video, I have shown you how to use arrays in Java. And we will see in this video how we can use for loop effectively to, uh, use them with arrays. So first of all, how to declare a for loop. For loop is same as while loop or do while loop in a way that it executes the same code again and again until some condition is met. But in here you have more control over your conditions. Now let's see what is the basic declaration of for loop. So you just write the keyword for, and then you just write these round brackets, and then in curly braces you write your statement. And in here you can give three different expressions. One is called initialization, so I will just do it something like this. Comment. In comments, first of all, first expression is called init or initialization. Second is your expression, and third is called the increment value. Okay, so you give these three expressions inside your for loop. So let's try to declare these three expressions. So inside your for loop you can define this integer value, for example int I. For printing these value, for example, we can declare the index of the array like this, int index. Or in the last video, if you remember what I have shown you. So in the last video I've shown you how to use arrays and how to print the elements, all the elements of the array using this while loop. And we have declared this integer index here in the last video. This declaration we have done outside our loop, which was while loop. But using for loop you can initialize this index here itself inside the expression. So you can initialize index is equal to 0 and then semicolon, and then you can check this condition, which is index should be less than 5. We were here, so it should be less than 5. And then the third condition is the increment. We were doing increment like this, but in for loop you can increment this index inside this expression value itself. So for loop solves three things for you. One is initialization, which you have done outside whenever you were using while loop, and then your expression, which is which will give you true or false, which comes in between, and then the increment, which you were doing inside your while loop, but you can do it right whenever you are declaring your for loop. Okay, so in this way you have more control over your code. Okay, and then you can just print the value of your array, which is this one by one based upon the index. So I will run the program and it prints all the values in the array, which is 100, 31, 26, 48 and 52, which are these. So how it works? First of all, for loop initializes your variable, for example index is equal to 0, and then it checks this expression whether value of index is less than 5 or not. So because we have initialized it by 0, 0 is not it's less than 0, less than 5, which is true, then it executes your statement and then it increments the value. Okay, so first initialization, then expression checking, and then if the expression is true it will print your value, and then it will increment the value of index by 1. Okay, so first the value of index is 0, which is less than 5. It will print it, and the value of array at index 0 is 100, right? It prints the 100, and then it will increment the value of index by 1, which makes the value of index is equal to 1. 0 plus 1 is equal to 1, and 1 is less than 5, so it will print the value of array at index 1, which is 31, and then it will increment the value of index by 1. Now index becomes 2. 2 is less than 5. It will just print this value again and again, right? So this is one way of using for loop. But there is one more way of using for loop, and which is like this. If you are using specifically arrays, then it's more easy to use this expression for loop. So the declaration is the same, but in the case of array, you can just directly use this array here. So for example, you can just write int element. So this is your name of the variable which will hold the value one by one, right? And then you give this colon here, and then you give the name of your array, for example, like this. So what this expression is doing is it will go over your array one by one, and it will store the value of this array one by one. So at first when this loop will start, the value in the increment or value which will be saved in this element will be 100, and then once again it will loop, and then value becomes 31 here, and then value becomes 26 here, and then value becomes 48. So it will iterate over your array, and one by one it will transfer the value of this array in this element, and then you can access this element like this. For example, you can just print this here like this, and I will just comment this for now, and let's see what happens. I'll run the program, and it prints the same values like these. Okay, so this is other way of using for loop if you have arrays to access the values, right? So here comes the array, and it will transfer one by one your element value in this element, and then you can access this element one by one whenever loop will iterate over the array. Okay, so this is intelligent way of iterate over arrays using for loop, and this is basic for loop which you can use to iterate over some values. So I hope you have understood the basic concept of for loop, and I hope you have enjoyed this video. Please rate, comment and subscribe, and bye for now.